Some albums are expected to be big, steamrollering the charts by sheer marketing, attitude and posture alone. But in 1999, Travis proved that sometimes all you need are a bunch of great songs, time to hone your sound, and a little sprinkling of Glastonbury magic.
Why does it always rain on me? Is it because I lied when I was 17?
Going on to win a Brit, a brace of Ivor Novellos and get certified 9 times platinum, Travis's second record, The Man Who, is today's Virgin Radio Classic Album. Fran and Dougie, welcome to Virgin Radio Classic Album. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, nice to be here.
This is a strange thing. It's like Virgin Radio, but we're on the telly.
Exactly, it's the brave new dawn. 360-degree programming.
Yeah, it's cool.
Does it feel odd, kind of like, however many, we must be, 19 years after the release of The Man Who? Yeah. Kind of to be sat here talking about it. Did you think that this would be the case?
No, I don't think so. I think it was, especially when it came out and we read the reviews.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a second, because but back in '99, when it came out, music was in a very odd place in Britain. Shania Twain and Boyzone had the biggest albums of the year. There was still, I guess, the death croak of Britpop, would you say?
I think The Man Who was the kind of come down record after the Britpop hangover type of thing.
Catatonia was still doing bits and pieces. Blur was still going great guns, but kind of, there were thunderstorms on the in the Gallagher camp, and it was all kind of felt very much kind of like you say, a bit of a come down.
It was almost like the come down of the Britpop come down kind of started when we moved down to London. We started it,
1996,
and that was kind of the tail end of it. And then in '97, you had records like OK Computer and Urban Hymns, which were a bit more introspective and maybe a bit more thoughtful. And then that was when we brought out Good Feeling, which was completely not with the zeitgeist of that point. Yeah. And then The Man Who was kind of the soundtrack to The Hangover.
So Good Feeling, I think you were described as almost like the British Weezer with Good Feeling. So a few kind of people kind of quote that at you. But the interesting thing for me was that you'd already kind of written a large chunk of The Man Who before Good Feeling had even come out.
Writing to Reach You was written before, and we tried to record it for Good Feeling. What else? She's So Strange was written.
Love was written.
Love was written. The Fear was written.
As You Are.
As You Are was written.
So was it kind of a label thing or a band thing that kind of decided, Good Feeling is going to be this particular kind of record, or was it, how did that kind of work?
Well, I remember
the songs out.
I remember we tried to record Writing to Reach You, and we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, we weren't ready.
We weren't good enough to do it.
Right.
I think there were certain songs that kind of suited our abilities, if you like, at the time, and so doing things like U16 Girls and All I Want to Do Is Rock. Yeah. That was what the kind of live identity of the band was at that point. Yeah. It was very upbeat. I mean, I think Noel Gallagher said we were reminded of him of Slade.
Slade, that's
which is
pretty good.
Good
Accolade. That.
And so it was all about turning it up and just turning it up and turning up. Yeah. And Steve Lillywhite for the first record was very much supportive of that kind of aspect of things. And then as we kind of toured that record, you get a little bit better. You become a bit more adept at playing, and then you kind of have more ability to play more sensitively, which I think the songs of The Man Who demanded, really.
Yeah. So, I tell you what, should we have a look at the Writing to Reach You? Let's have a listen to it.
Cool.
It's the opener. It kicks everything off and really did kind of kick off a new kind of era for Travis. Here's Writing to Reach You.
go away.
How does it feel looking back at that now? How young we all were.
Yeah, it's. I remember that. So the video we shot it in 2 days.
Mhm.
It ended up being 3 days because there's a scene in the video where we had a Messerschmitt
Yes.
fly about 20 feet over my head.
The director got the idea because of the guitar kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the guy who was going to fly the plane apparently got his secretary had sprayed perfume, and he got it in his eyes, and his eyes had swollen up.
Oh wow.
So he had to cancel. And it's, you know, what making videos is like.
Yeah.
It's a real, because you've only got a certain amount of time.
Oh, it's expensive.
And it's, so, and this was this is the first video for our thing, and it was just falling apart. As soon as we turned up, it was like, but we got an extra day, we got insurance, paid for an extra day, and we got it sorted out. But I fell in a field. It was so cold.
Oh, it's a frozen ploughed field, that's right. Absolutely Baltic.
And a frozen ploughed field, and I fell over on it, and I gave myself the worst dead leg ever, and then had to.
I don't think I've had a dead leg since school.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
And you were wearing steel toe cap boots, I remember.
And
And your toes were ice, like freezing. That's right.
Tell me back to the writing of it. So famously, you've inverted the chords of Wonderwall. Is that folklore? Or is that actually is what you did?
Well, there's two sources. There's 74, 75.
Yeah.
The do 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 dum do 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 dum. And I was trying to work out what the chords were to Wonderwall. That's why I put the line in, "What's a Wonderwall?" anyway, in case in some other galaxy, because it's written in the coldest flat in Glasgow, on the Dole.
Yeah.
And in some faraway galaxy, maybe we might meet Noel, and he'll know that that's the chords, and I have to put a little line to go. Look, I know. Thanks for the chords.
There's lots of icy iconography in this record, you know, videos, cold flats, the cover.
Talk to us about the cover. Where was the cover shot?
Just outside Aviemore.
Was it
in Scotland?
Particularly long shoot, or was it quite a quick?
We went. It was long. We went out taking pictures with this photographer called Stefan Ruiz, who is amazing. Anyway, we went out and he found this nice location. It was all green and lovely. And then we went back the next day and it was all snowy. And we were like, oh, we're bringing an album out in the summer.
Yeah.
But we just shot it anyway. And
it looks great. Well, it's kind of become an iconic kind of cover.
It really has.
But it's funny because it did come out in summer, and no one even batted an eyelid.
Yeah.
It was a conversation though, of putting a snowy cover out in the middle of summer.
Nowadays, market research wouldn't allow it, you know.
No.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the writing. Talk to me about the writing kind of process in Travis. How does it work? How collaborative is it? Is it pretty uncollaborative?
It's sort of uncollaborative.
Yeah.
I think the songs should come from one source, and then whoever song it is, you
direct that.
Yeah, it's because it has to come from an honest place, and not a place where you're just thinking about like these writing retreats they have. Where it's really cynically done, like writing jingles. That's fine.
Have you learned? Did you learn that through experience, or just something that you've always believed? Was there a time where you did have a go at it, or?
It's jamming. Jamming, or kind of songs coming out of jams. That works for some bands, but I think we're a bit more of a traditional thing where the songs come from one source and then the band join in basically on the song and play for the song. So you're there to support the kind of the emotional content and the melodic content, and so that there does feel like there's a direct communication between the band and the listener.
And how does it feel as the members of the band when a song's brought in and it's like Writing to Reach You or it's like Rain or something like that? Is it kind of like
you don't really know?
You don't. So you don't.
Well, I've got a slightly different perspective because I first heard Writing to Reach You before I was in the band.
Right. Okay.
Because I joined in '96 and Franny had already written Writing to Reach You before that, and when he played it, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you've written. That's absolutely brilliant. I think it was in my bedroom or in your bedroom. I can't remember. And I was really like, this has kind of gone up another level from what had been happening previously.
Do you know when you've written a cracker?
No. I sort of, well, no, not a cracker, but you go, well, you just fish around, prod around, and eventually something happens, and it's all about melody. The top line, it's all about the top line, because it's really, really hard to find a melody that you've never heard before. There's only sort of finite amount of notes, and I think something's gone on recently where we're maybe run out. Because it's all about production now. It's all about the beat and making it sound cool or something. But you're like, whoa, where's the thing that I'm going to stop my car and pull over and go, what is this? I can't get this out of my head.
How do you formulate them? Do you go along?
Random.
Do you do the gobbledygook method?
Yes.
Where you just kind of like doing the vowel sounds. And
Yeah,
stuff?
because it's a like every animal sings, and the melody sort of comes out from your gut, and that's your emotional seat, and so it's an emotional expression, and then you just glue words to it. It like I always said, it was like you get the melody first, and it's all like that, and your lyrics have to sit on your melodies like dust on ornaments on a mantelpiece. It just covers it perfectly. You could still see the ornament, the melody, but if you clunk big weird words over it and obscure the melody in some way, then you're failed. But I think the better your melody is, the more the concrete your lyric will be. It's never failed. Like, and the weaker the melody is, the lyrics reflect the weakness of them.
Should we take a listen to another one? Let's have a listen to Driftwood. Talk to me about Driftwood. I mean, from an outsider's point of view, listening to the album now, when you can kind of sit back and kind of analyse it a bit more, there's a real terrific sense of yearning lyrically for me. Like that's the kind of mood that I come away from. Is that you as a lyricist are kind of reaching something's literally right into reach. You kind of there's something you're striving for. Is it love, or is it
getting chucked?
Is it getting old? Is it getting chucked? Just getting dumped?
I got dumped by my girlfriend Katrina. She went to St Andrews.
Oh, you said that with a little bit of bitterness as well, didn't you?
I'm still bitter. I mean, still
a little bit of stank on that.
Yeah, because she was going somewhere, and she had big plans, and I was still, I was on the dole, and what are you doing with your life type of thing, and it wasn't just a split up. It was like
you understand, Katrina. We're in a band. It's gonna
and it's just not practical to do that. It's more practical to go to university. But anyway, it's a split up record. But like Driftwood was written about Nora.
Yeah.
My now wife.
Yeah. And
this idea of kind of drifty and not quite. Where are you going? What are you doing? What's your direction?
I think the vast majority of university students, they related quite closely to Driftwood at the time. No one knew what the hell they were doing. Let's have a listen to it.
Everywhere there's trouble, nowhere safe to go. Pushes turn to shovels, shoveling the snow. Frozen, you have chosen the path you wish to go. Drifting now forever and forevermore, till you reach your shore. Your driftwood floating underwater, breaking into pieces, pieces, pieces. Just driftwood, hollow and with no use. Waterfall to find you, grind you, and you really didn't think it would happen, but it really is the end of the line. So I'm sorry that you turned to driftwood, but you've been drifting for a long, long time.
I think what makes a great album is it sounding like an album, not just a collection of songs. And I think we'll talk about Nigel's production in a second. But you guys kind of double laid it with this kind of look and feel, whether it's the cover, whether it was how you guys looked, and also the videos as well. They're kind of almost Downton Abbey-esque kind of harking back to this era that you couldn't really date it. Was that an intentional thing?
I think it's even down to like the colour palette of the videos. They all have this kind of autumnal, muted tone kind of thing.
Very whimsical.
Yeah,
kind of.
and I think it definitely is relatable to this kind of sonic palette as well. You know, there's a definite, I don't know, a through line through it all. You know, that kind of makes it fit together.
That brings us neatly on to talking about Nigel Godrich, who produced the album. I don't know why I'm telling you guys that. Was that a coup? Was he kind of just was he actually bumming around looking for work at that time? Because he was he was a mate. So he was. I mean, he was the biggest producer in the world at the time.
Yeah, and we met Nigel through Ultrasound.
Wow.
Ultrasound and us toured on the Brat's tour with Catatonia.
With a Z. Yeah, Brat's with a Z.
Right, yeah.
The NME thing and the early kind of thing. And then
what was Ultrasound's amazing song? Was it Stay Young?
Stay Young.
Stay Young.
Oh,
Yeah,
what a
that was
tune
good.
that is.
Are we not? So Ultrasound did that with Nigel.
Yeah.
They
Right,
recorded
wow.
a single, and I think it was Stay Young, and they asked us because they met us on tour, and we all got on.
Yeah.
We had a right laugh. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they asked us to come to the studio and be the sort of Gary Glitter,
Right.
hey, and do
Oh,
the
okay,
sort of
doing the stomping
rock
and the claps and
roll,
stuff.
hey.
Brilliant.
Because we're very good at the haze.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we had tied to the 90s.
Yeah.
And they were very tickled by all of that and our kind of thing. It got us into the studio and Nigel was doing it, and that's where we met Nigel. And we were like, oh my God, Nigel Godrich.
Yeah.
We ended up getting on very well. Like, me and Nigel became very good mates. And then we started the Man Who with Mike Hedges, who did
The Manics.
the Manics
Yeah.
and
Texas and all that.
and yeah, and so
The Chateau. Is it,
At the
yeah,
Chateau,
yeah.
Chateau de la Rougemont. Yeah.
and then, but it didn't. It sort of petered out a little bit, and so we were kind of going, oh God. And so I asked Nigel, and he was like, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm doing that." And we managed to get one day in Rack,
That's
Right,
right.
okay.
I'd forgotten about that.
and we did Writing to Reach You, and that was the.
That was the.
I knew he would be really good to record that song. We'd done it with Mike, and it wasn't as. It was actually all right. I heard it recently, but Nigel did it, and it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And when he heard it, he was like, oh, that's good. And then we got bit by bit, piecemealed the thing,
Yeah.
and eventually.
Before he knew it, he'd done 10 songs. He was like, how the hell did you do that?
Jedi mind trick.
And
What was the process like? How do you guys work in the studio? Do you do it all as live?
Live.
Do you do it all live?
That's
Wow.
Nigel.
Yeah, this record, that's his things, live to tape, because he's actually, although you think of him as kind of the futuristic kind of sci-fi boffin type, the things that he really likes are kind of quite traditional. He likes the kind of, like his favourite drum sound ever is a hunky dory. That's the drum sound that he says he's spent his life trying to replicate, you know. And so it's that kind of, again, kind of an earthy, organic, autumnal kind of feel to it, you know. And he was just incredible. I mean, it's funny kind of listening to Driftwood because preparing for the Man Who shows, you know, you go back and listen to the record.
Yeah.
And Driftwood was the one that I was like, oh, that sounds incredible. Just when it starts.
Well, it does. I mean, and when you're listening back to the album with a pair of headphones on, I don't know whether it's a little mastering trick or whatnot, but there's a little boost. There's a boost when it kicks in. It's like whoa! It takes you, kind of takes you onto another plane. What was the mood like recording it? Because it is such a not a downbeat album, but kind of you know, it is a reflective album.
Yeah.
Was it a happy recording?
Totally. It's totally in congress with the type of people we are. We're just constantly, I mean, like going around Nigel's studio drawing dicks on everything. he's still finding them. Honest to God, we've hidden some way parts in
Oh, bloody hell.
you know?
Fantastic.
and it's
It was really
of fun.
upbeat. It was a really all the sessions, because we did it over a period of time. You know, we would kind of do a session like you were saying. It's kind of in piecemeal. You know,
Yeah.
a couple of songs here, then go away, write, come back, a couple of songs again. So it was over quite a long period of time. But all through that period, it was really upbeat and a good laugh. And I don't think you're ever aware if you're making something great or this is going to be a classic record, but you are aware of a band and a producer clicking.
Yes.
And when that happens, it can be that you can potentially make something a bit special.
Yeah. And did it kind of, did the songs, was there a moment kind of, I guess, you know, after hearing Writing to Reach You, as all of a sudden, as you kind of intended it or dreamt that it would sound, did that then make the writing of the album very easy after that? Did you kind of go, right, I get where we're striving to be?
It was almost all written by that point when we'd done that. But again, it was all, like, we'd done Turn and Why Does It Always Rain on Me with Mike Hedges, recorded, completely recorded and done. And that we did with Nigel, Writing to Reach You, The Fear, Last Laugh of the Laughter, Slideshow, Driftwood. And that was the 5 songs we actually recorded with him, and the other 5 were from Mike, and another, the hidden track was a B-side.
Yeah.
But, like, for instance, Why Does It Always Rain on Me had a mouth trumpet on it. It was terrible. It's a great song. The vocal of that song is amazing. I could never have. I'm like, how did I sing that?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? And the vocal on Turn.
Yeah.
But that's Mike Hedges.
Right.
One of his.
So he's got great pop sensibility, hasn't he?
He's one of the greatest vocal compers you've ever seen. And I mean, that vocal on Rain and the vocal on Turn. Nigel, on the other hand, doesn't comp that much. He tries to go for the full.
Yeah.
But Mike wants the.
He's forensic about it. He
Right.
wants the platonic ideal vocal, you know.
So he'll make you sing 15 vocals, and then he'll do like a sort of league table. He'll do 2 different sessions, and he'll do the winner of this one and the winner of that one, and eventually boil it down so you get this uber incredible vocal. So we had, if anyone watching or listening to this, go and listen on headphones to those 2 vocals compared with other vocals on the album.
Yeah, well, it's I was going to talk when we'll come to Turn in a minute, because it's the vocal performance on the album. I think it's just incredible, and it's almost impossible to sing at karaoke.
Even when I heard
Sounds
that,
like a
I was
man who
like,
tried.
Oh, I've tried. I always revert back to Common People because it's slightly lower, and you can get away with being more pissed. Should we have a listen to Rain? Why Does It Always Rain on Me? Because I think, you know, if there's a turning point in an album and in a career, it's this.
Definitely.
I can't stand myself. I'm being held up by invisible men, still life on a shelf when I got my mind on something else. Some days, oh, where have you gone? I get the strangest feeling you belong. Why does it always rain on me? Is it because I lied when I was 17? Why does it always rain on me? Even when the sun is shining, I can't avoid the lightning. Oh, where did the blue sky go? Oh, why is it raining so cold?
Now, up until, you know, when The Man Who First came out, it's fair to say it got kind of mixed reviews.
Yeah.
And then we got to the release of Why Does It Always Rain on Me, and then you guys, the stars kind of weirdly aligned, and on stage at Glastonbury that year, it wazzed it down the second you started playing the song. I mean, just did you kind of think, okay, this is going to be a good bit. This is good. This is going to work for us. Or was
No.
it just kind of like checking it down? Damn.
Yeah, we thought we'd done the worst gig of our career. We came off, remember?
We came off, we were all miserable, and because we thought it hadn't gone that great, and we were kind of looking out at all these people in the summer clothes, all with it
drenched,
pouring, and just. I think we thought when we came off, well, at least nobody's going to watch that on the TV. You know, and then we got home that night, and it was all over the place.
Front page of the papers.
Travis made it rain, and we were like, oh, everyone's going to watch that.
Yeah. Now, forgive this comparison. I don't take it as an insult, but that turning point reminded me very much of Life Through a Lens for Robbie Williams, where he had a moment where he played Angel at Glastonbury again, and that turned his whole career absolutely about face, because that again was an album that was good, but hadn't really kind of caught the imagination of the public. And it's a comparatively, although completely different music styles, the same thing happened, because all of a sudden, you know, it must have been quite satisfying and also a little bit annoying, because all these people that kind of were a bit kind of nonchalant about it at first, all of a sudden were back on the Travis bus and everyone was good to go. How did that feel?
You need to put a band in front of people, because the way everything, especially nowadays, there's everyone's the zeitgeist, the big tipping point amount of people are looking here, they're looking there, they're looking there, looking there, and at one moment, if they're all looking at you, and you do something that's cool, they'll just be locked on it, and they'll stick with you for years. And that, if you're lucky enough just to have that moment when they all look, and that happens just at the right time. But it's all about putting a band or an artist or in front of people, because we were always, everyone's trying to get that moment. But I always felt we were kind of special. We had a nice thing with each other. We were good at performing. We just had more than the music, there was just something.
But you're very easy to
friendly.
like. You still are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be quite a weird person not to kind of feel happy when you watch you guys play or listen to your music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I saw that performance, the Glastonbury one, and it's amazing.
Oh, really?
Oh my, it's got something about it. I'll show you.
There's something about Glastonbury, isn't there? Because Pulp had it with when they stepped in for the Stone Roses.
When
last minute
John Squire broke his collarbone.
Yeah,
right?
and they stepped in to do, and that was the infamous kind of gig for them, where they did Common People, and it was just one of the most mesmerising musical moments I've ever seen in my life.
But I mean, that's another good example of it's luck. So much of it is luck.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that it rained, I mean, that's just chance.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that poor John Squire broke his collarbone, that was bad luck for him, but good luck for Pulp.
But to an extent, you make your own luck, because you were ready, because you found yourselves ready for it when it came.
You're primed.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did it feel, you know, just within the band members when you felt that tipping point? How was it exciting? Did you feel all of a sudden this weird pressure on you? Was there this newfound, you know, because you became very famous after that. You know?
Yeah. Well,
the Finn came into being.
That you sort of play catch up with it. That's why we called the next record The Invisible Band, because we didn't really feel that people were reacting more to the music than to the band. We could still walk down the street and no one. Some people maybe recognise me a little bit, but not a lot, and it's never been like that.
That's why it must be so good to be Coldplay's guitarist.
Yeah,
same amount of money, same amount of everything, just no one knows who that is.
But it does sound so kind of like a blast from the past to say that was exactly how we wanted it to be. It's like people to pay attention to the songs, hear them on the radio, but for us to just kind of be in the background, you know, and kind of not out there. And that's the complete opposite to how culture works now.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about kind of the fame first, you know.
And because, you know, everyone gets into a band because they fancy a little bit of that. You know, it's attractive and it's kind of quite it's compelling. you know, how did it feel? You know, Fran, everyone had the haircut. You know, your relationships were all of a sudden kind of talked about. You know, you all of a sudden mixing in kind of these circles that.
Can I be totally honest
Yeah.
and say this is honest to God? I never wanted any of that
No,
fame
that's-
or anything.
okay,
It was
right.
always like I always thought the idea of song, being a singer, is like you have it's like a postman type of job. It's like a public service that you
Right.
you go out to entertain people, to make them happy and forget about the whatever. Just like when I watch the telly and you go and you love something and
Yeah.
that's your job. But the fame thing was never. I really didn't like it at all.
Right.
Hated it.
Did you actively kind of push against it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
when he
and I
came-
still do.
Yeah.
You know, like
When- 'cause
my
when-
giant beard. It's like, I'm not playing the game. I'm not going to be your, you know.
Nothing wrong
I'm
with a
gonna
giant
go
beard,
wiggle.
mate. Nothing
That
wrong
beard's
with a giant
nothing
beard.
compared to
No,
what
I
his
know.
was.
Remember. Yours was proper. Yours was Hunt for the Wilder People.
They were all like this.
Oh my God.
But was that, so, touching briefly on the Invisible Band, you know, when you came back and sing, which is I still think your most widely listened to song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
Did feel like there was a little bit of Hollywood in there in terms of there was obviously more money thrown into the videos. There was
Huge amount of money.
There was a few frosted tips on the hair knocking around, and it felt a bit more glam. Is that fair?
Well, the frosted tip, the fin thing. Well, that was Pete, my hairdresser at
Right.
Cuts on Frith Street, who I'm going to see today.
Is he still there? Is he?
Yeah, well, no, they've moved. Cuts has moved. It's on Dean Street now, underneath.
okay. Oh, I know where it is. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, yes.
underneath an Italian barber
Yeah.
shop. And I dyed my hair after I did the fin. Then I dyed my hair blonde, and then it grew out. And then he did the fin thing again, and left the blonde
top.
roots. But it wasn't dyed blonde. It was just like grown out. It wasn't like a
You made a lot of young men go through pain in their bathrooms for
David Beckham.
that. Yeah, true.
David Beckham.
Oh, 'cause of the
took
World Cup, wasn't it? He came
went
with the mohawk. Wow,
Yeah.
well done.
It was a kind of weird.
So even though you didn't want it, you fought against it. You influenced one of the most stylish men on the planet.
Do you know how I think that happened? I met him in the car park of Toys R Us with Posh Spice.
He was having a kick about.
Yeah, you know he couldn't because he had the big stookie on his
Oh,
feet.
that
Oh,
was
that's
really
right.
good.
Yeah, he's injured,
and,
wasn't he?
and they were coming out with like tons of toys.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on here? It was birthday time or something for one
And
of the
you
kids.
just got the.
I'd just got my thing, and then there you go.
Fantastic.
Then you went pink with it for a while. That's
Yeah.
right. That was good.
Can we have a listen to my favourite off the album? Can we have a listen to Turn? This is absolutely lovely. This is Turn.
We'll never know unless we grow. There's so much world outside the door. I want to sing my song. I want to live in a world where I'll be strong. I want to live, I will survive, and I believe that it won't be very long. If we turn, if we turn.
I love that video because
It's
it is
a good
So
one.
cool.
almost like little movies. So what was it you kept saying in the beginning? There's like a phrase you kept
It's
repeating.
my
over-
chi.
That's it.
Chi,
Yeah, don't mess with my
Don't
chi.
mess with my chi. That's Ringin Ledwidge, who has gone on to be one of Britain's greatest commercial directors,
Wow.
and he's done he's an amazing director.
Talk to me about Turn because it's the highlight of the album for me in terms of, you know, when I listen to the lyrics and talk about the yearning of, you know, that whole kind of striving for something and it's a classic pop song in terms of its construct and you know its arrangement and stuff like that, but it's just got this, it just soars, you know. Was that
Almost never made it on the
It was
record.
very close. It was,
Really?
Yeah. We were
Remember
sitting
us in
outside Abbey Road.
Abbey
Yeah.
Road, sitting in Abbey Road, going.
we recorded at Abbey Road, did you? Or-
We did a bit in France, and then we went to Abbey Road. We're trying to like record it, and Mike was in a funny space, and at the time, Mike Hedges, and I was hemorrhaging confidence with the song to the point where we didn't know what music to put on it. I ended up singing it a cappella.
Wow.
Just without any music.
In Studio 2 at Abbey Road, I remember in the control room, Mike just going, well, he's changing key. I don't know. Oh, it's lovely, but it's so sad. It's like,
but not
like,
sad in a
just in a really tragic way.
That's tragic.
Right.
Where we're getting, and I think, I don't know why, I mean, but I think it's a beautifully simple song. And I think when things are simple, they're really hard to do well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
anything you add to it ruins it.
Yeah.
Like,
And so to get that kind of,
But it didn't need much. There's a little spring reverb on the drums.
That's Nigel.
That was Nigel.
Yeah.
But to get that dynamic working with kind of simple ingredients and not having anything getting in the way, that's really difficult to do.
And the vocal performance on that, without blowing too much smoke up your backside, Fran, is just extraordinary.
But you can't, because that vocal performance, like I say, is a comp of one of the best vocal recorders and compers in the world, Mike Hedges.
Yeah.
That's his, I think, one of his, I didn't sing that, you know, I did, but I didn't sing it in one take.
Yeah.
That's like 30 takes.
Yeah.
Every tiny bit is totally put together, but it doesn't sound like it.
No, it doesn't.
But it's pop. That's what pop is.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing the equivalent of what you get on all the just now, but with tape. It was. It's really, really. It is a good vocal.
Yeah. And what's it like playing now?
It's hard to get
is
up
it
there.
Up there? Yeah.
My mum always crosses her legs when she.
Is he going to make it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like taking off on a plane, kind of like, he's got to get over the mountains.
Pull up.
It gets harder the older you get.
Well, your vocal cords get deeper as you get older anyway, so
Yeah.
that's the excuse.
I haven't yet had to change the key.
Okay, so you still...
But luckily the capo's on 2, so I've
you've
still got 2
some
you've got a way to go
yeah.
before you have to...
2 notches down. Yeah.
Bear with me. What's your highlight on the album? Which is the... We do this thing on the show where we call it the one. So I'm going to ask each of you in turn. What is the one moment that makes the hairs on the back of your hands stand up or your neck?
The Writing to Reach You, I think it's still one of my favourites of our songs, and I think again.
Any particular part in it? Any particular?
There's something. It's the ominous welcome in at the very, very top of the song. You know, Nigel's kind of little magic fingers doing his thing, and there's something very beckoning about it, but it is quite dark feeling, and I think that's a really. I think it's a great piece of music.
And personally for you, which is the best bit to play? Is there a little kind of riff or a little kind of refrain that you kind of just love getting
in that particular song?
No, in the whole album. Which is the bit where you kind of like, I love playing
Last Laugh of the Laughter.
Yeah.
With the U2 lift.
What about you, Fran? Which is the moment for you which is just like, oh my God, we did this?
Definitely Driftwood. As a studio moment, when you do the thing, you come into the room, he plays it back and it sounds like records.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, that's absolutely brilliant. How the hell did we do that? So there's that, and there's also the moment when I knew, because like you say, Nigel's was the biggest thing in the whole world at that point, production-wise. He'd just done OK Computer, and it was like, he was firing.
Everyone was still trying to reverse engineer that.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point. And I was every day going, see that little noise you did? I was so bugging him. We had him, and I was like, but you know what it sounded? It sounds like a ruler on a thing going. Brrr.
I remember I got a day with Gil. I had a week with Gil Norton once. And I did the same with Doolittle. I was just like, I don't want to keep bugging you about this, but you know that
Gil's great, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah, it is very cool.
So the moment, we had this Nigel Godrich guy, and it's when we did The Fear. We're all sitting in rack in our little, not booths, but Neil was behind the screen. Dougie, you were over in the corner. Andy was maybe here, and I was behind the screen, so the noise wouldn't go through the mic.
Yeah.
And it's a live. thing and I put my headphones on. Now, every time, and you'll know this, when you go into a studio, your headphone mix is rubbish.
Yeah.
You'll never get a good, it's a reference, it's a monitoring thing, you'll never get that.
It's difficult to get into the space, isn't it?
And
when it's like that.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, but that was the first time you put the headphones on and Neil started to play and I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And it was the best I'd ever had headphones ever.
Wow.
And when you played it, it was kind of almost off-putting because it sounded
sounds like you're listening to it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're listening.
Listening to a record and you kind of stop playing.
Yeah. Can I do it? Bed knobs and broomsticks. The brooms come in just kind of like...
So that was another, I'll always remember that moment.
Is there a song that you take off it now? Is there any of them that stick out a bit? I mean, it's a difficult one with this album because it does sound like such a complete album. But is there one where in hindsight you'd think, well, maybe we should have saved that for Invisible Band? Or
No.
Not on this record, maybe on the next record.
Yeah.
I would have taken off 2.
And what was the one moment throughout whether it was the recording, the release, or the tour of it, that kind of year, where you kind of had a little moment to yourselves and just looked at each other and thought, wow, we've done it?
Didn't have that.
Didn't have that moment.
No?
No, I think maybe the closest we got was when, because the record had been dropping out the charts, slowly but surely falling down.
Yeah.
Then the rain at Glastonbury, bit of support from radio, and it's from that point in June, end of June, to V Festival in August, and that was how long it took to go back up and eventually got to #1 when we played V, the second day at V.
Wow.
And I do remember the moment in the back of the tour bus when
fun.
we found out that it had gone to #1.
That was a good
That was a good moment.
I bet. Fran and Dougie, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
Virgin
you.
Radio.
What a
Man
great
Who,
show.
what a phenomenal album.
It's all about the music. Virgin Radio.